Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. I hope that you had a great weekend. Welcome back to our classroom and welcome back to the final section of Song of Myself by Walt Whitman. Today's poem is another short one, just like the first one that we read, so I'll go ahead and read this one out loud for you. We're going to be working on page 183 in our ebook, so be sure to either follow along with my screen or yours while I read. So this is section 52. The spotted hawk swoops by and accuses me. He complains of my gab and my loitering. I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yawp over the roofs of the world. The last scud of day holds back for me. It flings my likeness after the rest and true as any on the shadowed wilds. It coaxes me to the vapor and the dusk. I depart as air. I shake my white locks at the runaway sun. I effuse my flesh in eddies and drift it in lacy jags. I bequeath myself to the dirt to grow from the grass I love. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles. You will hardly know who I am or what I mean, but I shall be good health to you nevertheless, and filter and fiber your blood. Failing to fetch me at first, keep encouraged. Missing me one place, search another. I stop somewhere, waiting for you. Okay, so today's video is going to be pretty short because this is a pretty short poem, but there's a couple of things I want to point out before we move on to answering the questions at the bottom of the page. First, another way that poets convey their theme in a poem is by using symbolism. We talked a lot about symbolism when we read Ray Bradbury's short story, The Veld, that story with the lions, and we see Whitman use it here in section 52 of his poem. He starts the poem with this image of the spotted hawk swooping by him. Whitman refers to the bird as untamed and untranslatable in line 2. In this poem, Whitman is using the hawk to symbolize the free spirit of the natural world. And when he describes the hawk as untamed and untranslatable, he also gives himself those descriptors. I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. In line 3, Whitman says he sounds a barbaric yawp over the roofs of the world. Question 1 at the bottom of page 183 asks you to examine why Whitman might use the word untranslatable to describe himself and the hawk. It also asks you to analyze what the phrase barbaric yawp suggests about the speaker's message to the world. Think carefully about the word choice here. Word choice is really big in this poem. Whitman doesn't say he and the hawk are misunderstood. He says they are untranslatable. How is that different? What's the connotation or the feeling that word has? And Whitman doesn't screech or cry out over the rooftop. He sounds a barbaric yawp. What is Whitman comparing himself to by describing his speech as a barbaric yawp? And why would he do that? What is his purpose? The second question on page 183 asks you about word choice 2. Specifically, what words in lines 4 through 8 create a feeling of motion and vitality. Again, the lines in your ebook are offs for some reason, so I've highlighted in green the lines this question is referring to. In looking for words that create a feeling of motion, you'll want to be looking for verbs, of course, words that show action. What verbs do you see in these 4 lines? As far as vitality goes, we want to look for words that give us a feeling of being strong and active, a feeling of energy. What words in these lines evoke energy and life for you? Think about words and phrases here that make these lines feel bright and alive, aside from the verbs you already looked at. This is the final section of Whitman's Song of Myself and the last section that we'll be reading. Wednesday we'll be doing a final task with these 4 poems before we move on, so make sure you're caught up on all of the book work for Song of Myself. Today you should answer questions 1 and 2 on page 183, typing your responses in the ebook and using evidence from the text, just like we've been doing. As always, let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll talk to you again on Wednesday.